Hey, Holcomb, are you playing this? The grease monkey, Argo? Seems we've got a guest. Really now, Parvati, I do wish you'd spoken up. I do apologize. I was given no forewarning of your arrival, or I might have welcomed you at the gates myself. You were saying, Miss Holcomb.
It's just what Bess needs is a proper refurbish. I can bandage her up and what all, but she's just old. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'll do better.
And I do wish you'd stop referring to our cannery as Bess. Personification of company property is strictly contrary to the Spacer's Choice Code of Conduct. My apologies. I am not in the habit of allowing my guests to witness such a row. Now, what can I do for you? I'm Reed Thompson, Outpost Administrator. I cannot help but notice you are not in uniform. Shirt, pants, work boots, company-approved colors. The, honorable apparel of a loyal worker? Yes, so it dawns on me. Seems I allowed my excitement to run away with my wits. Been a few seasons since we've had a visitor pass through. I understand. Your business is your own. Nonetheless, you are welcome in our little outpost. Outsiders are a rare sight in the Vale. If you are a freelancer, then I have use for you. There is pay to be earned, or supplies to tide you over, as you prefer. The sort of work for which I cannot spare my own people. I am in the midst of a difficulty, the resolution of which requires a third party. You. There's an old botanical lab, mostly abandoned now, but still eating up power from our plant, power which our cannery sorely needs. I need you to go to the geothermal plant and reroute power from the botanical lab over to us. Simple as that. I was not entirely sure how to tell you this. The botanical labs are not legally inhabited, but there are people who live there. The people living in the botanical labs, they're deserters, former workers. I need them back at their posts. I need them to come home. My hope is that by cutting off their power, you will convince those deserters to come back to town. Before you go to the plant, I want you to stop by the botanical lab. Speak to their leader, Adelaide. Tell her the power's about to go, and that it's time her band of deserters came back to town. Adelaide's older than the other deserters. She's dignified, kindly. From what I understand, her camp looks to her for leadership. I am asking you to help us survive. Edgewater needs more workers or we will collapse. We belong to one community, the Spacer's Choice family. If we dissolve into factions, then we will all perish separately. Adelaide will understand that. Of course, I understand completely. Here, let me give you the passcode to the geothermal plant.
Are you setting off for the Vale? 'Cause I mean, if that's all right with you.
I hesitate to part ways with Miss Holcomb, but I cannot deny that she is talented.
Great! I got my rent.
Well, I am glad to hear that. Best of luck to you. And my offer remains standing should you reconsider. Go ahead. It is my job to keep two eyes on my town. I am the steward. I'm trying to remember 25 years, 26, when you get to my... I remember looking out this window and seeing the Vale. Times change. People change. This is a Spacer's Choice town. We're all part of the Spacer's Choice family here. The company keeps us warm, keeps us fed, keeps us working. Loyalty's got nothing to do with it, friend. I wish you wouldn't say things like that. Yes, when I stand at my window and look out over my town, here's what I see. I see decent, loyal, hard work. We are all part of the Spacer's Choice family. We are all doing what we were brought into this world. Go ahead. That you are not one of us may work to your advantage. Adelaide and her folk loathe the people of Edgewater, you see. I admit the fault was mine. I'm about as diplomatic as a bristling canid. I just hope Adelaide and her folk will see their way past my flaws and return to town. Scripture tells us we all have our purpose. Yes, we have lost good workers to desertion. We have lost even more to plague. But it is why we must square our shoulders. Losing Adelaide was the hardest. She was our only flavor specialist. When she walked away, Spacer's Choice Saltuna is renowned across the system for its quality flavors and additives. Ever since Adelaide left, we have been reduced to... Go ahead. Adelaide was our only flavor specialist. We are a Saltuna canning institution. Saltuna without flavor is like a cysty pig without tumors. Were it up to me, friend, I'd stack our larders with Saltuna. But, and this is something we must keep between the two of us, Saltuna is hard to come by. What with being a species indigenous to the seas of another world. Oh, we've scavenged together some organic material from the surrounding, some of which possess a texture akin to a well-boiled slab of Saltuna. Go ahead. Can we not? Talking about unpleasant things always gets my bile up. That I cannot say. There was no moment when the plagues began. But in the last 10 years, the plagues have become progressively worse and increasingly frequent. Corporate doesn't like us using the word should. It encourages the imagination. I believe plague is a test. It is a test of our loyalty and our fortitude. And if I had enough medicine to treat everyone who fell sick, I would, but I don't. I can't save everyone. So I have to choose. It is not easy for me. And the moment it becomes easy is the moment I am no longer fit to serve. Spacer's Choice is a... Go ahead.
You some sort of freelancer?
You're safer inside the walls.
We better clear out of Mr. Thompson's office before we talk. Hey, mister, can we talk? Sorry. Can we chat? Sorry. It's just... Mr. Thompson has his own view on matters, on account of it's his job and what all, but that's not the only side of the tale. To Mr. Thompson, a person's a gear. It does its job quiet-like. If it squeaks or stutters, it gets replaced. The deserters are decent folk. I knew some of them before they left. Life's hard here. Especially for them that don't fit in so well. We're one big... Mr. Thompson's aiming to take away their power. They'll have no... I think you should talk to the town's vicar about it. Max, his name is. Thanks, mister. I just think when you gotta make a decision... That's what my dad used to say. I've always felt weird in here. It's too clean.
I'll meet you on the ship when you're ready to depart from Emerald Vale, Captain.
But what? I thought you would talk to him.
You wanted to speak to me, Ms. Holcomb? Every time I've tried to engage you in conversation, you look at the floor. I can't imagine what would be so grave as to drive her to my mission. What has Mr. Thompson asked you to do? Depriving them of safety from the marauders and wildlife. I can see why that troubles you. Ms. Holcomb has a soft heart. Always has, if you believe the talk. Assuming your goal is to save as many as possible, then you should bring everyone together. Send the power to Edgewater and convince the deserters to return to the fold. Not if things are left to stand as they are.
Where are we headed? A whole ship? Like one that flies about the Aether? That's a tall order. I guess the generator that... If you turn on the thermal plant like Mr. Thompson wants, we can shut down the generator. Then it'd be safe to yank the regulator. You mean about the mission being too clean? I know, but Vickers says the real machines have gunked up oil. Scratch. The machine Vickers sees is one ain't never been run. It's not for people to live in. It's something on a museum shelf, under glass. Fixing the universe is a job for somebody way better than the likes of me. When I was little, we'd get freighters and
Bring us honor, soldier. You beat that scout to scrap with its own legs? Pulled its optic cables? You're a passing fair soldier, I will confess. But you are one, and the enemy is legion. Cantina, lavatory, behind one of the toilets. That's where I've kept it hidden all these years. Sharp, ain't it? The lavatory is the very last place a mechanical has need to enter. On the double, soldier. Don't want the butt.
You're not a big drinker, are you? Got it. Heads down.
Bring us honor, soldier. Feast your eyes, soldier. This here is a genuine Spacer's Choice injury customizing unit, designed to deliver a lethal blast of electrical discharge. You ever want to see a mechanical flailing around like a grounded fish? You stick a couple thousand volts in its guts. With compliments from old Ludwig. Time's come for you to journey down into the black heart of the... Unfortunately, the old plant lies outside my board-given jurisdiction. You'll need to get a passcode from the boss, Reed Thompson. I've been after a passcode for years. Boss said no on account... I need you to get us the brain of a mechanical. Well, not exactly a brain. Anatomically speaking, what we're looking for is a logic module. There's the rub. If a mechanical breaks down, the logic module fries. So you can't rip one out of its corpse. You're gonna have to find an intact model somehow.
I don't reckon so. I work with gears and pistons and such. Stuff you can put hands to. Computer...
You know, she names the mechanicals she fixes. Calls them Bess and Clancy and so on. You keep a careful eye on her. Could be a sympathizer. Don't tell anyone, all right? I've got a contact. A real expert in the inner workings of the automaton. We are gonna rip those mechanical secrets. Well, excuse me. What I meant was I'm going to get a contact. If you die go on.
Mr. Thompson said to talk with Miss McDevitt before doing anything here? Wish I could do that.
Bring us honor, soldier. Bang up work, soldier. You're a credit to your uniform. Oh, that reminds me. Gotta look into getting us a uniform. So this is... I would reward you with the gratitude of the Resistance, but I'm guessing you want something tactile.
Move along, stranger. We don't want any trouble. I don't know you. Whatever you're looking for, it ain't here. Move along. Answers, huh? You must be one of those philosophicals. Already got it. Yeah, that's us. If you're gonna start wandering around my camp, over in the hot house. Enough with the questions. No offense, but I've got a lot on my mind. You don't know what enough with the... No, I'm sorry. That was unworthy of me. Lady named Zoe went missing some nights ago. Just up and vanished without a trace. Now I'm pacing around wondering if marauders got to her. It's not like Zoe to go wandering. Figured she might... Can't imagine where she's gone. Vale's a wide place. She could be anywhere. Could do without the gallows, I'll tell you what I can. Vex me. If she told anybody, they ain't telling me. Little ways ago, she was always obsessing over her... Could be. Dangers aplenty out there. No telling why Marauder gang just moved into the districts a little ways east. They're well enough to know we never got on. Zoe and Stefan were close. If any, she was lazy and thoughtless. What is it?
Keep your wits about you. Great work.
Hey, I saw... What do you think you're doing?
Just don't make any trouble for me, okay?
Oh, that's Thomas. He used to follow me around before he left the cannery. Nicely done. For me.
You hungry? We got canid ribs. Something I can help you with? You mean Zoe? Yeah, we were pretty close. Zoe and I were gonna watch the serials, as is our custom. You sound like some type of corporate fixer. Zoe was always obsessed with this serial. Masked marketeer. A scion of Byzantium turns to shame she up and vanished when she did. The other day I got my hands on a genuine copy of the latest Masked Marketeer. I was gonna surprise Zoe with it. Can't say I recall Zoe ever acting strange. Well, she called it journaling, but I think it's just plain odd. Hey, I got time. I'll help if I can. Hey, I got time. Fresh off the limb.
Keep your wits about you, friend.
If you're hungry, there's meat turning on the spit outside. If you're bearing illness, find a place. Whatever your troubles with Edgewater, leave them at the gates and be welcomed here. I have been called that, among other things. Green Thumb, grandmother, the strange old lady who keeps flowers. But yes, Adelaide will do just fine.
Excuse me, Miss McDevitt? Sorry, it's just...
Why, thank you. You're Robert's girl, aren't you? Are you staying long? You should try some of my tobaccorn tea. I brew it in an old spittoon. No, dear. The garden belongs to us all. Life is the gift of the universe, and the universe yields its bounty equally, absent of prejudice. The soil around the Vale went sour years ago. The secret recipe is a little bit of elbow grease, a dash of love, a home for anyone who's ever turned their backs on Edgewater. So, like the spores of the puffball, cast on the wind and alighting on fresh... It is an unpleasant story, dear. But the short of it, the home in which we spent our lives has left us behind, and so... Reed Thompson? Let's hear it. What's Reed's idea of peace, then? Like everything else that comes out of Edgewater, that peace offering is canned. I and my own are living just fine out here by ourselves. He would do such a thing. The question is, why would you agree to his plans? Cannery's got a regulator. You want ship parts, you ought to rip him out of the cannery's guts and leave us be. If you're going down to the plant, you should divert power away from Edgewater and toward our end of the grid. Think about it. You'd be liberating an entire town from a lifetime of service to that odious cannery. Seems the sort of thing a hero would do. You've seen that miserable excuse for a town with your own lamps. Hollowed out workers laboring their lives away at the cannery, living off whatever scraps Spacer's choice throws them. You know that's true, don't you, Ms. Holcomb? Your father died of overwork. His heart gave out.
He was tired all the time, sure, but he was old, ma'am, and he raised me all by his lonesome.
Look what they did to this child. Lost her family to the company, and still she defends them. Life in Edgewater grinds to a halt. The cannery shuts down, workers desert in droves, and our own little camp grows and thrives. You bring power to Reed's town and you'll be killing us. Reed knows it. He's counting on it. You've seen that miserable excuse for a town with your own lamps. Hollowed out workers. It's not much of a living. Every single person in that town has sold themselves to Spacer's Choice. The company owns them. Body, blood, and bones. You've been there. You've seen it. All anyone ever does is toil over a cannery. They give their lives for some heartless corporation, and then they're tossed into a Spacer's Choice brand cemetery. So, what do you say? Divert power over to us. Shut down that abominable cannery for good. I trust you will listen to your conscience.
Something you need? In the bar? When I asked if you were a drinker? Sorry. I know, it's none of my business. Strong drink makes me sick. And it makes me... Well, never mind that. You got better things to think on. Sorry. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything. Something you need?
Had your rations yet?
Something got you down?
Nothing.
3 switches. That'll be easy enough.
Sys investigated.
We may. Okay, keep it quiet.
Process sweeping.
Just 2 more. What'll happen to Miss McDevitt's folk if we send power to the Vale?
Self-diagnostics complete. It's not the best choice. It's the spacer's choice. All systems fully operational. Return hostile actions towards spacer's choice. Mechanics in compliance with spacer's choice policy. All defective automechanicals must affirmative. Mechanicide protocols loaded. Mechanicide protocols.
No, just leave me alone.
Mind the steam. You're liable to get scalded.
Phoenix.
Here they come! Nice one!
Nearby bottleneck. Security mark realized.
Nice hit! Everyone all right? If we send the power to Miss McDevitt, what happens to the Veil?
Mechanicide protocols currently active.
Process sweeping the area.
Look out!
Processing. Security. Identified. 3
seconds left level.
Sanitation and cleanup required.
Sure what the right is. Alls I know is the decision's final.
Mechanicide protocols currently active. Please.
No, just leave me alone! Go away, Phantom! You're not real! You're not real! Get away from me, Phantom! Shoot! Scram! Most people? But I'm the only one left. No. Remember your first rule, Higgins. No arguing with the See? See, Higgins? This is why you must always boil your sprats before ingesting. Clearly, I mistook you for one of the phantoms of my imagination. Chester D. Higgins. The D stands for definitely not insane. I use it as a reminder. Oh, Higgins has been many things over the years. Sprat Wrangler, Saltuna Critic, Aetherwave person. I've come a long way for someone who started off as a simple engineer right here in this plant. I specialized in automechanicals, drones, sentries, repaired them, maintained, upgraded, did it all from my old workroom just over in the next section. Jimmy'd opened the vending machines. That lasted a good couple of months. Eventually, I had to resort to more unconventional means of... Mechanicals lost their bolts, opened fire on anything that moved. It was pandemonium. I was on cleaning duty at the time. My old boss had me scrubbing pipes when the killing started. So, as usual, I missed out. Jimmy'd opened the vending machines. That lasted a good couple of months. Eventually, I had to resort to more braised. Boiled, charred, skewered. Sprats are good eating. Mechanicals lost their bolts. Opened fire on any... You mean, why did the Mechanicals go on a murderous rampage? Same reason any of us do, I suppose. I was on cleaning duty at the time. Look, I don't want to fall into any trouble with the Mechanicals. If they wise up to our plans, they will come for us. With prodding irons. You know, you remind me of myself back when I discovered a flaw. Their hostility levels were hardwired to maximum. There's no changing that, but you could rewrite their targeting protocol so they attack each other instead. Yes, that's exactly it. I see you're also versed in the no. There's a behavior control terminal in the other room. It should have options to change how the... Oh, that reminds me. You'll need my passcode to access the behavior control terminal. Here, let me just write it down. The tail. Jimmy'd open... Well, yes, for the uninitiated. Braised. Boiled, charred, skewered. I specialized in automechanicals. Oh, before. Definitely before. Sissy pig type... What's eating you?
Where are we headed? Once we do this, there's no going back. Hey, mister? Look, I know you want your power regulator and all, but I just gotta ask you. Do you understand what you're about to do? I don't think you should cut off Edgewater's power. I think it would be cruel. I'm sorry. That just sort of came out all at once. Edgewater's hurting. We've been losing workers year after year, and corporate hardly ever sends replacements. There's barely enough Saltuna to fill our bellies anymore. But the town's got some good people in it. Decent, hard-working folk just living their lives the only way they know how. They don't deserve to be punished. Miss McDevitt's built something beautiful. Somehow, she's talked the ground into giving life again. It's plain to see she's made the Vale a better place. Fed the hungry, tended the sick. Gave a home to those that had none. But Miss McDevitt delights in Edgewater's suffering. She wants to hurt the town. Do you really want to be party to that kind of hatred? Well, that sure sounds like Mr. Thompson. If he was standing here, I imagine he'd remind us of how we're all one big, happy Spacer's Choice family. In Mr. Thompson's eyes, those deserters are still part of the Spacer's Choice family. The family must work together in order to survive. I hate to say it, but I think Mr. Thompson's got a point. Unless those deserters come back, Edgewater's as good as dead. Cutting off their power might be the only way. Sorry, I didn't mean to babble on like that. I felt felt like I had to say something. Really? I mean, wow. Thanks. No one's ever told me those words in that order. Where are we headed? The deserters are gonna be alright. Pal. What the town? I don't know anybody who ever came out this far.
Wow, you crossed them all off, like some sort of heroic accountant running down a list. Teach me your ways. What? You mean Adelaide's little congregation of nature-loving nobodies? I could not... You, on the other hand, you were a sight to behold. If I had half your skills, I'd be the greatest outlaw the coast has ever seen. I'm great at clarifying. No? I insinuated myself into their company, see? And they didn't seem to mind one whit. I may have bartered them a few boxes of adrenatine. I don't know. The vital... Oh, you mean around these guys? The Marauders wouldn't hurt me. They love me. I'm practically their queen. I got kicked out of Edgewater on account of falling sick with plague. I'd heard some outlaws set up camp in the Botanical labs. I decided to throw in with them. Instead, what do I find? But a bunch of former workers camped out around a greenhouse. I couldn't just go back to the cannery, so I was stuck with them. I've got all the time and health. Why? Adelaide wants me back on garden duty or something? Thanks, but I'm not going anywhere. This is where I belong. I doubt that. Nobody in that camp really cared about me. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Also, I'll take my stuff and head on back, I suppose. Grace is gonna be glaring knives at me. I'm great.
What is it? We didn't always get along, but I'm glad to know she's safe. What happened, anyway? You pretty much did my job for me. Let me know if I can do something. Do you hear that? That low, pleasant hum of electric? I would have paid my last 5 bits to see the look on Reed's face when the last lamp in town burnt out, and the cannery. My son worked in that cannery. We had a store of medicine locked away, but Reed refused to treat him. So I buried my boy in the cemetery, gathered my belongings, and left. That's as blunt as a hammer. Time's come to look toward the future. We'll grow, I expect. A lot of workers out there with nowhere else to go. I don't look forward to turning folk away. Camp's gotta stay pure, though. Can't have corporate loyalists mixing with us, no matter how desperate they may. I am curious. Why did you help us? You don't know who we are. You don't owe us a thing. The plant's crawling with mechanicals, so it stands to reason you risked your life. You're not quite like anyone else I've met. You're welcome among us. You are welcome.
Home is where the heart is. Marauders took that saying a little too literally.
Zoe says she fought her way out of a marauder camp with her own bare hand. something I can help you? Fresh off.
Hello? Are you still there?
The power's out in the whole town. Pipe down. Leave him in there. It's best for us all.
Power's gone. Law knows how long. Looking to get drunk? Go ahead.
Cannery's dead. This is gonna throw a wrench into my actuarial tables.
Just as I was on the mend, the canner...
You want to know what gets my bile churning? Edgewater has suffered a cavalcade of disasters, plague, marauders, desertion. Then you wandered in town. And I was so damn sure our luck was starting to turn. I never knew how right I was. Just answer one question for me. Why'd you do it? Is that right? I'm dying to hear this. Please, educate me. Liberating? Edgewater is my home. The only home I've ever had. I put down roots here, gave decades of my life to... Whatever you were hoping to find down here, I advise you to turn around and leave. I have got guards posted, with orders to fire on you. All right, easy now. Let's not do anything we'll regret. I'll order my guards to stand down. You and I have got... Stand down, all of you. We're done here.
Heard you've been taking down morale? You've got my sight.
Yep. Yeah, some sort of breakup.
You and I have got nothing more to say to each other.
Where are we headed?
What are we supposed to do now?
Exercise patience and contemplate the
Don't make
scriptures.
me report.
Got my sights up.
Got my hands full at the moment. Make it quick, please.
Is this your ship? Oh my stars, she is just so handsome. Oh, gosh. Listen to me babbling. When I was in Edgewater, I dreamed of flying on a real ship. Working on a real engine. Edgewater won't last another season without power, but... that don't change the fact that I'm indentured to Spacer's Choice. Company expects me back at my post. I've worked on the occasional supply coach in need of repairs. Once I want to ask you something, and you can say no. But can I come with you? And if you ever need a pair of eyes watching your back, I can do that too. What do you think? Yeah, I had my misgivings about Miss McDevitt and the deserters, but you took pity on them and sent power to their garden. All this time, you've been determined to get your regulator back, get your ship up and running, and cut a path out of this place. And well, I want in. Not much of an Edgewater left. My whole life's been small. I realized that when you walked into town. I've been seeing the same faces every day. Then I saw this ship. This gorgeous, stately lady with her eyes turned skyward, and I made up my mind to come along with. Yes! Captain. Where are we headed?
Well, I certainly am looking forward to flying on a ship named the Unreliable. I'll just head upstairs and claim a room. I could spend hours reflecting on the secret workings. So, tell me what's on your mind. I excel at confessional listening. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Just your run-of-the-mill vicar with a violently enthusiastic... that's what... I grew up in a pit of it. I was destined to be a laborer like my parents, but I was infected early with a need to solve... My parents, they internalized the precepts of scientism like no one I've ever known. I envied that. I wanted that peace. I thought if I became a vicar, I could find it. They thought I was fighting the plan, should have accepted my lot. Some people pursue the clergy for power, prestige. But that was... The plan is not one rigid path. There are a variety of... Some choices make the path smoother. Some... It's like an unbreakable elastic band. I have run headlong into too many walls in my pursuit of the truth. This book is my last hope. What about you? What's your story? And how did he do that? Well, you do seem different than every other colonist. Let's pretend for the moment I believe you. What? That seems a dangerous proposition. Why risk your life now that it's been returned to you? A commendable attitude. Bokonu, the author, had some interesting theories about men. Unfortunately, he was also one of the founders of the Philosophists. Philosophism's a false religion that stands in contradiction to almost every... But most of the philosophist perversion of Bokonu's thoughts... I've been thinking on that. There's a former infamous philosophist scholar. He's also who told me of the journal's presence in Emerald Vale. That's a good question. We should start on the Groundbreaker. It's where I'd go if I wanted to... All I need is access to a data cartridge from the security terminal. Their easily hackable system keeps a registry of all crew manifests for both arrivals and departures. I'll comb the last 6 months of departure manifests to track the Philosophist's off-world destination. Before I transferred to Edgewater, I had a wealth of time to develop certain, I meditated, led sermons, provided... As all... So, tell me what's on your mind. I accept... Of course. Are you ready to break into security on it? If I can access... I'll comb the
Captain, I have detected that the town of Edgewater is now without power. I appreciate you doing your part to hasten their demise. What can I do for you, Captain? Do you know how to install a power regulator? Outstanding, Captain. Your aptitude for engineering will prove invaluable. Our engine room is located behind you.
Something you need?
Yes? What's occupying your thoughts?
What can I do for you, Captain? All systems are operating. I am prepared to bring the Unreliable into low-altitude orbit. This should prove an adequate test of our flight capabilities. We have received a communication request from Dr. Phineas Wells.
Ah, there you are. Hale and hearty, and captain of your own ship. I see you're putting the Unreliable to good use. Shame about her former captain. Horrible way to die. How are you feeling, by the way? I lost track of you in that cave back there. Experiencing any, unnatural drippage? Perfectly normal side effect of thawing, I assure you. Oh, that, yes, that's probably permanent. I wouldn't worry about it, though. What you saw in Emerald Vale is happening all across the colony. Food shortages, lack of supplies. The Hope has some of the brightest minds Earth ever sent us. If we can revive the Hope's colonists, they can help us undo the board's mistake. You need to get to Stellar Bay on Monarch. I have contacts there. They'll help me, help us, find the chemicals to revive. Gladys Kelly, lovely woman, runs a cozy little black marketing outfit on the Groundbreaker. She can get you a nav key to land on Stellar Bay. Strictly speaking, Monarch is a moon, terraformed badly, and almost completely... Captains don't fly their own ships, you see. Your navigation terminal handles the, navigation. The board's been confiscating nav keys for Stellar Bay, so we must rely on unconventional means of acquisition. Hence, Miss Gladys Kelly. Gladys and I have been doing business for years. Her smuggling credentials are unimpeachable. If anyone can get you a key to Monarch, it's her. Without a skip drive, good luck. You'll be dead before you make it to the... Look, I admire your optimism, but the sad truth is you're stuck here. You, me, and the... None of us are leaving Halcyon alive, so we may as well... Excellent. I'll send her. By the way, I gave Captain Hawthorne a disguise apparatus of my own design. Cutting edge. I call it the Holographic Shroud. I'm sure it will prove remarkably useful to you. You'll find it in the captain's quarters. Marvelous device. I'm quite proud of myself. It has limits. First-generation technology, you see, but promising. Very simply, the holographic shroud uses biometric information contained on standard identity cartridges to generate a holographic projection. Ha 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 ha! The beauty is they don't expect it. The shroud is the only... Activate the disguise, walk past someone. What do they see? A figure dressed like a fellow employee. Don't act odd. They will... Only stands up to a casual scrutiny. Use it too long, bound to flicker, blur, something like that. Movement makes it more likely. Best used in moderation. When you see guards in your path, you can't. Maintain your distance. Act normal. No running, no jumping. Don't draw their attention. If they pay attention, they're more likely to notice flaws in the hologram. A change of clothes. What is this? Some old spy serial? What inattentive and brainless guard would be fooled by such a shabby disguise? The holographic shroud masks not only your clothes, but your face and fingerprints. It modulates your... Science, that's how. Excellent. I'll contact you once you've found a way to get to Stellar Bay. If you have any questions, come see me in my lab. And remember, don't trust the board. They'll try to win you over with promises of wealth and power. The board's only interested in filling their own pockets. If we don't put a stop to them...
Transmission ended. If you are ready to depart, please select a destination.
Yeah, so this is my hidey spot now. I was looking for a place that was quiet. I figured the kitchen would be louder than the hold, so here I am. Cozy-like, ain't it? That's in pretty good shape considering how hard Mr. Hawthorne ran it. It's a Yakita LHA 120. The Block 2 design scooshed in extra cargo space but didn't change the stock in.
Accurate in all particulars. I conclude you are Edgewater's board-certified mechanic.
So you're gonna call her it?
Though my voice is currently pitched to suggest female, I possess no gender.
Hello! I am not a board-certified mechanic, but my dad was.
Speech recognition is one of the many skills.
You're not simulating it, you're doing it! I asked.
I am gratified you consider this facsimile convincing.
I don't see any holes in the hull. I'll take a good squint at her, make sure everything's tip-top. But I think we're cooking with plasma You can do that, you know. My dad taught me how to make grilled cheese sandwiches with a plasma torch. What? You want me to leave? Captain, you can't mean it. Oh, that's... Something busted, Captain?
I find myself marveling at the Something vexing you, Captain?
Make yourself at home, Captain. Welcome back, Captain. How can I be of assistance? The unit is a cleaning SAM. Hawthorne brought it on board some cycles ago, I'm sure with the intent to modify it. But I've never seen it up and... Alex likely recorded progress note. If you check the terminal in your captain's quarters, we may be able to determine what work remains. Certainly, Cap. What would you like to hear? Now playing a spacer...
It's not the best choice.
Everyone in Halcyon is contractually obligated. Now playing...
It's not the best.
My pleasure, Captain. It's been scientifically proven that those with more birthdays live longer. As you wish, Captain. I must comply with all direct... What part of the colony would you like to discuss? Ah, yes. As Dr. May love... Welcome back. How can I have lots of minutes. Many minutes. Unlimited minutes. I prefer to think of it as being in a state of slumber. Perhaps for an indefinite duration of time. Do you think that is what it's like for the colonists on the Lost Hope? When I simulate myself in such a scenario, I do not find it to be desirable. I think my self-preservation protocols incline me to desire the alternative. Traveling the system with you, Captain. Do you know what it feels like when the ship undergoes an unexpected power surge? As you may be aware, Captain Alex Hawthorne was a smuggler of some repute. I failed to predict the likely outcome of his reckless behavior. In our travels together, Alex liked to pass time by, as he called it, tinkering to improve my design. If you mean, was Captain Hawthorne my first? Yes, he was. How can I be of assistance? What part of the colony would you like? How can I be of assistance? I request you do not wake me if I am sleeping upon your return.